Hi, I'm Christina Whitney from the Handi Quilter studio. I am here with a new ruler today. It's the HQ Builder. It's a really fun ruler. If you take a look at it, you'll notice it has two sides. It's got one for making brick, and it also has another side for scallops. Before we move into using this ruler though, a few things I want to point out. You want to make sure you have your sure foot on. This has the higher profile to prevent the ruler from hopping over the foot. You'll also want to use some handy grip to hold the ruler in place while you're using it. And don't forget your ruler base. So take a look at this example of how you can use the Builder ruler. We used the brick side to do all of the bricks in the housing, and then the other side, we did the shingles on the roof. How fun is that? Let's look at a couple of other examples of ways that you can use the shingles or the clamshell side of the ruler. Looking at this, we did a full row going across and then just shifted over 1/4 of an inch using the markings on the ruler and stitching again. It gives you that nice effect. Or if you don't want them so close together, you can offset them halfway and have them just evenly spaced across. Another example is to flip the ruler the other direction and stitch going up. These look kind of like little fish to me. Orange peel is always another fun one. This one, you're going to use the ruler in multiple directions. So we did one direction, going across, rotated around, doing the other direction, and then I did the same thing on a second row, but connecting those center points to give that full circle. Now let's move on to the bricks. This one's a little bit trickier to use because it does have the points on the inside and the outside. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to use this. So I'm going to line up my markings on my ruler with the markings that I have on the cloth that I'm using. And as I travel up, I'm going to use this ruler kind of as a guideline. I'm not going to hug it quite as tight as I normally would. So coming up, nice and slow, come across the top, pausing at all of those points, coming back up, coming across, down, and up. So that's important to remember. Sometimes if you go too fast or you don't pause at those points, you're going to get rounded edges. And let me show you what that's going to look like, because that might be something you want to do. So let me move that aside so you can see the difference. So you got your nice points and you got the rounded. And that might make a nice cobblestone look if that's what you're going for. Okay, now I want to show you how to make the bricks so that they're offset. So on the ruler, we've got these lines that go right down the middle of the high point and right down the middle of the low point. So as I'm lining this up, I'm going to use that high point, lining it so that it's right over the existing stitching that I did, making sure I'm coming across, still lined up on that 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to stitch up, stitch across, stitch down, touching that previous line. How fun is that? Let me show you another fun design. This one is going to be using the ruler kind of backwards from the bricks so that the top of the ruler is facing up. And we're going to stitch along, up and down and over, but we're going to add a little fill in there. So we're going to stitch up, move the ruler out of the way, do a little flower, put the ruler back in place, stitch down, travel over, up, little flower, down, and travel over. The thing I like about this is that it's evenly spaced. I don't have to do any pre-marking, I don't have to think about it. The ruler does the spacing for me. Now, one more. I like to call this my tree, or sometimes a carrot if I do it in a triangular shape. But we're going to do the same thing as the bricks, come in and out, all the way up and down one side. Then we're going to rotate the ruler around, this time offsetting it so that the in alternates with the previous row. So the HQ Builder is a fun ruler to work with, and it makes great houses. If you look at the quilt behind me, you can see how it can be utilized in all sorts of quilts.